Good day. Welcome to another episode of What Has Been Trending. My name is Angelo, and this is Nation's Voice Tower. Now, I am talking about something quite different today because I feel that our attention should be drawn to all these things. Because if we act nonchalantly to all these things, then we may be tempted to get ousted from our own country by ourselves because we don't know, or we may not have a grip on the information happening in the country. Don't forget, if you're watching me for the first time, this is that hub that keeps you updated on anything politically motivated or any political activity in Nigeria and outside Nigeria, especially as it borders the Nigerian populace. Now, I told you we'll do lots of digging about Bola Tinubu's fake certificate and forgery and so on. Now, I laid my hands on a particular case that happened in 2011, and people think, or people have been saying that Bola Tinubu's perjury and fake certificate issues has been brought on board because he is now president. But I want to tell you that this issue of perjury and forgery of certificate has actually been on board right from 1999, all right? And sometime in 2011, Bola Tinubu was actually so lucky not to have gone to jail because of this same issue of perjury and certificate forgery. In fact, I will say he escaped by the whiskers because it was nearly closely that he would have been incarcerated as regards his issue of or his problem of forgery and perjury. Now, from my source, I had to consult 4 to 5 sources because I needed legitimate information and I needed documents or document inclined proofs. So you'll have to understand what, or you'll have to believe and see the authenticity in what we are giving to you. So my 5 sources brought about this information, and that is what I'm going to share with you in the next couple of seconds. Still on Bola Tinubu's fake certificates, I would like to say, or I would like to break to you how the former Minister of Justice and Attorney General stopped the prosecution of Bola Tinubu sometime in 2011. Do you now believe that this issue of certificate forgery came up long time ago? It didn't start today. In 2011, from my source, in 2011, when the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Muhammad Bello Adoke, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, filed charges against Bola Ahmed Tinubu over his academic forgery and lies, Bola Ahmed Tinubu quickly entered into a deal to back President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan to win the 2011 presidential elections, hereby dumping his party, the then Action Congress of Nigeria, now known as the All Progressive Congress, ACN then, and he also dumped Nuhu Ribadu, who was their presidential candidate then. Now, if you will remember, sometime in 2011, Nuhu Ribadu came up to contest for presidency, and all of a sudden, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, who was actually somebody who finished the term during President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua's demise, emerged as the winner. Now, in as much as we are not trying to write off the fact that Goodluck Ebele Jonathan was viable for the position and he was voted in, Bola Ahmed Tinubu had ambitions to come up as president. This ambition has been nursed right from 2003. So, sometime in 2011, he actually wanted to vie until he was told of the case against him by the Attorney General, where his perjury and certificate forgery was brought into question. All right, so he had to give up the ambition for Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. Now, as you can see on your screen, before I go further, before I show you the documents, that is the reason why Nuhu Ribadu got compensated right now by Bola Tinubu to become the National Security Advisor. Can you now see the link? Do you now believe the link? Because there were more viable candidates for the position of the National Security Advisor. But from the blues, Bola Ahmed Tinubu picked out Nuhu Ribadu people never knew the rationale behind the fact that he picked out Nuhu Ribadu. We never knew what Nuhu Ribadu did security-wise for him to emerge as the most viable and the most merited candidate for the position of the National Security Advisor. So we believe so strongly by our sources and by facts that Bola Tinubu was repaying the kindness or was repaying the betrayal, let me say, in 2011 to Nuhu Ribadu. Now, as you can see on your screen, this particular document is a copy of the court order or a case document between the federal government of Nigeria and Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The file there is not a fake document. You can see, you could confirm anytime you want. Go to the courts in Abuja if you're in Nigeria and confirm, because this particular document, I'm going to give you the document number so you would know we are dealing with legitimate information. It's called, the document number goes as thus: FHC/ABJ/CR/04/2011. This was the case file number of that particular court order that had inscriptions on it that had to say, or that said that Bola Tinubu was actually summoned to court over the issues of perjury and certificate forgery. Yes, on that document, there were 2 count charges against Bola Tinubu. The number 1 was a count charge of forgery to the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, on 20th December 1999 in Ikeja, Lagos, when he had to come out to tender documents to INEC in form of his certificates that were not legitimate. Second count charge against Bola Tinubu in this particular case file was a case of perjury, still to the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, on the 13th day of January 2003, still in Ikeja, Lagos, while he was governor. It was called out that Bola Tinubu committed perjury. He told lies under oath as regards the INEC requirements, and this contravenes or contradicts the all parts of the Constitution, or the whole part of the Constitution, that is actually punishable under Section 191 of the Criminal Code, Cap 77, law of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as amended in 1999 and as retained in Section 191, Cap C38 of the laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004. Now, to be very, very precise, let me say precisely that Bola Tinubu actually is guilty of these offenses. And if we want to be very, very straightforward, he is supposed to be indicted for perjury and forgery, if not for forfeiture of over $460,000 sometime in the US in the early 90s. We cannot overemphasize all this because these things are in court already. And if we're saying anything aside what we're saying now, we will be committing offenses that are subjudice to court orders. So we would urge our viewers to keep calm, because we will continue to reveal these secrets as they come on board. Thank you so much. Now, secondly, on our update list, I have something that will blow your mind. If you have no idea about the fact that the French government have over time been usurping the African countries, especially the Francophone countries, of lots of mineral resources and their own public coffers, then I have good news for you, because the next video that's going to come on your screen is going to tell you all the secrets involved with the French and what they have been doing to over 14 African countries. In quote, I would say categorically that the French government have been usurping lots of Francophone speaking countries in Africa for little or no reasons, unknown to our national leaders, unknown to our country presidents, and unknown to the inhabitants of these countries. Let me allow you to watch this video so you would have an evidence on how the French government have actually put Africa and its countries into a very, very large ditch called poverty. Stay tuned.
Did you know France makes Africa pay for its own foreign aid by manipulating the West African franc? Based on a review of public financial reports, it appears France has never actually used its own money to help Africa. I'm about to discuss one of the most elaborate financial cons since the original Ponzi scheme, and no matter how bad you think this is, Don't worry, it gets worse. First, the backstory. France controls the creation of money for 14 countries in Africa, a legacy of colonialism. We call this either the West or Central African franc, depending on the country. Every year, France prints between 20 and 40 billion euros worth of this African currency, which it uses to buy natural resources, influence African leaders, and occasionally provide some developmental aid. Pay attention. France prints the Africans' own paper currency and then exchanges the currency they just printed for physical goods and resources. You might be tempted to call this counterfeiting, but they already have a word for this in French. It's called seigneurage. Here's how the French have flown under the radar. France manages this African currency by pegging the West and Central African franc to the euro at a 6.55 to 1 exchange rate. This has made the African franc one of the most stable and predictable currencies in Africa today. You may even think at first glance that the West African franc is essentially a euro. Except it's not. When the European Central Bank expands the money supply, aka creates more euros, this gives the French Central Bank the authority to print more African francs. Now, over the past 10 years, the Euro M2 money supply has been increased between 60 and 66%, which means for every billion West African francs that were printed for Africa, the Central Bank in France was able to print over 600 million West African francs of their own, which means they can practically do whatever they want with that money. We can only estimate these financial numbers because the actual amount is a bit obfuscated by the French banks for obvious reasons. However, when we add up the M2 money supply for these 14 African countries and multiply it by the estimated expansion of the West African francs, France appears to be printing between 20 and 40 billion euros worth of African currency every year exclusively for their own use. So when someone tells you the West gives all this foreign aid to Africa, it might make sense to ask where that money actually came from. But I want to know what you guys think. Do you think France is doing a good thing by providing Africa with a stable currency to do business in? Or is the wealth transfer that comes from seigneurage costing Africa more than the currency is worth?
Okay, I think it's evident right now how these people have got involved, or these people got involved in lots of resources that have been misused in Africa, lots of millions of dollars, millions of money that have gone down the drain in Africa under the pretext of colonialism. All right, so I think it is time for Africans to sit up. Hence the reason why you have heard of lots of coup plots in different African countries, Niger Republic and Gabon to be precise. We pray for the other African countries to really abide by law and not go by a revolution, because any sort of revolution right now is going to be so detrimental to those inhabitants in that country. Hence the reason why Nigerians are advised to stay calm and abide by law and wait for the tribunal, so we know what the judiciary can say about the ongoing presidential elections petitions tribunal that can actually serve as a platform to the emergence of a new Nigeria. Now, I have a different sort of information right now, because this particular analysis is going straight to what is happening in Gabon right now. Ruben Abati, one of the analysts of the Arise News, had to speak up, because this time around, I think Africa has been affected. Africa's dignity has been dented. What is Ruben Abati saying? Lots of African presidents or African leaders want to sit on their seats for God knows how long. This is very, very wrong, because it is now evident from what happened to President Ali Bongo Ondimba, the president of Gabon. It is now evident that these people want to sit on that presidential seat for a very, very long time. Gabon is a very, very small country, lots of natural resources with just over 40 ethnic groups. Very, very concise. Why would an individual want to sit on that seat for a whooping lifetime? Because you have the power. We have presidents like the Eritrean president. He has ruled Eritrea for 37 years. We have Paul Biya of Cameroon. He has been on a presidential seat since 1982. Come on, these things are so bad. And the political system in Africa is going down. This is because lots of African leaders don't want to leave their seats to pave way for development and a sort of stable government in their countries. Let me allow you with Ruben Abati, so you listen to what he was saying, because I think I take utmost importance to what he said in the studios, and I take total obstruction to whatever the African presidents are doing, because they are subverting not only justice, but they are trampling on the rights of their country inhabitants or the populace of Africa, and this is very, very wrong. Stay tuned.
In Gabon now, we're told that the chair of the Electoral Commission has gone into hiding. He dare not show his face in public. So African leaders must take their cue from what is going on in Gabon. Here, specifically, the major issue that the coup makers are focusing on is the election, through which Bongo Odimba had given himself, as you would say, perhaps, a third term. He's been in power since 2009 to 2016. In 2016, the elections were very controversial. He had his way. Then this time around again in 2023, he wants to stay for an additional 7 years. His father spent 41 years there. He has spent 14 years. He wants another 7 years. So this is why we talk about this sit-tight syndrome in Africa. And earlier on, I've given a list of some of the leaders in Africa that have stayed for almost forever. I have not mentioned Isaias Afewerki of Eritrea. He too has been there for about 37 years. These people in a country of that has other people. Look at Gabon. Gabon has 40 ethnic groups. Now then one family will sit on top of that country for 50 years. 2/3 of the population is in poverty. Gabon is oil rich, but the people are not enjoying the benefits. Gabon has manganese. Gabon has one of the richest biodiversities in Africa. Gorillas, big elephants, national parks. The people are not getting anything from it. And that is why we saw the people jubilating on the streets. They are saying that, look, we are tired of dynasty. And it is instructive that the coup makers have not just arrested Bongo Dimba's son, they have even accused the son of treason.
High treason.
To prevent a situation whereby Omar Bongo Sr. will rule for 41 years, then Ali Bongo will be removed, and then the next thing, another Bongo Odimba will take over.
All right, all said and done, I would say precisely that Ruben Abati was quite right there, because you can't have a president that has been on seat since 2009 and he has not made any move to leave. Rather, he is making plans to spend 7 years more. Come on, the people of Gabon have had enough. So they decided to stand up to their rights. We are not saying we are advocating for a coup. No, we are not advocating for a military coup or for the military junta to take over other African countries. Nah, we are trying to say that good and stable governance is the answer to an even division of the national cake. That is it. So I would urge our viewers, like our videos, share them. Don't forget to watch till the end and drop a comment for us in the comment section if you feel you have anything different from what we do here or you have a suggestion. Finally, if you're watching me for the first time, please tap the subscribe button and don't also forget to tap the notification bell so that we'll get to link up anytime I'm on air. Thank you so much. See you next time. Bye.